Mr. Fiddler.
Here.
Mr. Burrage.
Here.
Mr. Overland.
Here.
Mr. Love.
Here.
Mr. Jacobi.
Here.
Mr. Alexander.
Here.
Mr. Burgess.
Here.
Mr. Regan.
Here.
There's a quorum present to conduct business, so we will move on to our announcements and presentations.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to take a couple of minutes. This upcoming week is Employee Appreciation Week. And I just want to take a couple of minutes to talk about the folks at ODOT. You know, we have a long-standing tradition at ODOT of public service, providing for those who can't provide for themselves through a lot of charitable opportunities that we have here at the agency, and do all of that kind of thing over and above what we do on a daily basis in our jobs. And we do our jobs very well. We make a difference in the state of Oklahoma and in this nation, and I just want to take a moment of personal privilege, Mr. Chairman, to offer my appreciation to the employees of ODOT for all that they do for us. Mr. Chairman, we had a situation recently, back in February, and I want to read this letter to you. We have 3 of the employees that were involved in this situation in the room with us, and I'd like for them to come up and be recognized by the commission and certainly by the rest of the agency. But let me read this letter that I received. It's from the CompSource Mutual Insurance Company. On February 18, 2015, 4 DOT employees helped save the life of one of ours. In an unfortunate accident in our parking lot, our employee became trapped under her car for several minutes. While she has some rehabilitation ahead of her, she is expected to recover. Quick thinking and actions by your employees were instrumental in getting her help. For that, I would like to recognize Angel Boyer, Joe Stevens, Roy McBride, and Andy Wynn. Mrs. Boyer was outside and witnessed the accident. She ran across the street to put the car in park as it was in drive and the wheels were continuing to spin while on top of our employee. She then ran back to your facility to try and find someone else to help. She also got the attention of the FedEx driver and asked him to call 911. Minutes later, Joe Stevens, Roy McBride, and Andy Wynn brought a car jack to raise the car off our employee. From there, the fire department and EMTs transported her to the hospital for immediate care. In appreciation for their bravery and heroism, CompSource Mutual has made a donation to our employees' GoFundMe account on their behalf. Gratefully, Jason Clark, President and Chief Executive Officer. Come up, guys. When I first heard the story, and I heard about it about 30 minutes after it happened, I had heard that the victim had perished. And so it was really nice to hear that she had not passed away in the incident and had survived. And it's clearly because of these 4 ODOT employees that happened. Mr. Chairman, would you join us for a picture?
Certainly. I'd like to say this is not Baltimore. We are happy that you guys are part of ODOT, and it just shows that spirit's out there. And thank you.
stuff that they have in here.
Thank you, Mr. Director. We'll hear a motion on the consent document, item 52 through 56. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Mr. Fiddler.
Aye.
Mr. Overland.
Yes.
Mr. Love.
Aye.
Mr. Burrage.
Yes.
Mr. Huckabee.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess.
Yes.
Mr. Regan.
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll hear item number 57. Mr. Tiegler.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Secretary. Item 57 is a request for programming a maintenance demonstration project for the integration, installation, and deployment of an ITS system on various ODOT snowplows in Divisions 4, 6, and 8. This project includes the installation of components to gather important information about road conditions, weather conditions, and various snowplow hydraulic systems. These projects will integrate into the ITS components into our existing ITS network system. The purpose of this is to allow the sharing of the data on road conditions in these weather events and weather images that the maintenance ODOT force will be able to give to the, or show to the driving public on the oktraffic.org. The snowplow demonstration project will utilize Maintenance Division's federal funds for totaling $300,000 to be let in FFY 2016. Approval is recommended.
You've heard the presentation.
Motion to approve item 57.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Mr. Fiddler.
Aye.
Mr. Overland.
Yes.
Mr. Love.
Aye.
Mr. Burrage.
Yes.
Mr. Huckabee.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Regan.
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll hear item number 58.
Item 58 are our supplemental engineering contracts. I have 5 this month. Part A is a statewide bridge rehabilitation. This is EC 1414H with White Engineering to increase the supplemental contract to $200,000. This is federal or 100% state funds. Part B is statewide, on-demand wetland and stream mitigation and biological studies. This is with our HDR engineering. This is an increase of $200,000 to the original contract. Part C, Oklahoma County. This is with our Leidos Engineering Company, formerly known as the Benham Companies. This was to perform all engineering services to prepare final design plans for I-35 or I-235 Broadway extension from 36th Street north to 63rd Street. This supplemental not to exceed is $1,279,079. We have projects in our federal fiscal year 2015 and 2016. Part D, also Oklahoma County. This is with our Poe and Associates engineering firm for the I-40 Crosstown Expressway Realignment Corridor. This project has extensive coordination with the City of Oklahoma City and with the BNSF rail line over the new boulevard. This is again with Poe and Associates. This is a supplemental not to exceed $70,108. Part E, Woodward County. This is with CEC Corporation, formerly Cobb, for US 270 State Highway 3 corridor. This supplement not to exceed is $29,800. It is included in our 8-year construction work plan for 2015. Approval is recommended.
You've heard the recommendation.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Mr. Fiddler.
Aye.
Mr. Overland.
Yes.
Mr. Love.
Aye.
Mr. Burrage.
Yes.
Mr. Huckabee.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Regan.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Motion passes. Now, when y'all see a mess up, you're supposed to just raise your hand, say, we forgot to approve the minutes. So how do you guys feel about the minutes?
Motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Mr. Fiddler.
Aye.
Mr. Overland.
Yes.
Mr. Love.
Aye.
Mr. Burrage.
Yes.
Mr. Huckabee.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Regan.
Yes.
All right. We'll move to the lettings.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary, members of the commission, item 59 consists of the final July, the tentative August, and the tentative September 2015 bid opening. And the department recommends approval of item 59.
Motion to
pleasure?
approve item 59.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none before any more smart aleck comments, call the roll.
Mr. Fiddler.
Aye.
Mr. Overland.
Yes.
Mr. Lowe.
Aye.
Mr. Burrage.
Yes.
Mr. Jacobi.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Regan.
Yes.
Commissioner Love, it will be noted that Commissioner Alexander said you would have not forgot that.
No comment.
We can change this back at any moment.
I like it just the way it is.
Motion passes. Mr. Raymond, we're ready for you on item number 60.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary, members of the commission. I'd like to present item 60, parts A through P, that represent the change orders with a cumulative total on their projects of $50,000 or less. This item is presented for your information only. No action is necessary, but I'll be glad to try to answer any questions that you have about any of these.
Anybody have any questions? If not, move on.
Thank you. I'd like to present item 61, parts A through N. These represent the change orders on projects with a cumulative total greater than $50,000, and your approval is recommended.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Mr. Fiddler.
Aye.
Mr. Overland.
Yes.
Mr. Love.
Aye.
Mr. Burrage.
Yes.
Mr. Jacobi.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Regan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're ready for the awards.
Morning, Commissioner, Mr. Secretary. Item 62 are the recommendations from the April 16th bid opening. It is recommended that the following items from the letting referred to by call order be awarded to the low bidders. It's call order 10, 20, 30, 60, 70, 95, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 180, 200, 210, 230, 250, 253, 255, 260, 280, 290, 310, and 320. And it is recommended that the following items from the letting referred to by call order be rejected. Call orders 190 and 270. This concludes the recommendations for award, and your approval is requested.
You've heard the recommendations. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Mr. Fiddler.
Aye.
Mr. Overland.
Yes.
Mr. Love.
Aye.
Mr. Burrage.
Yes.
Mr. Huckabee.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Regan.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Patterson will present item 63.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Mr. Secretary, I too have a faux pas this morning. I'm sitting next to Senator Larry Boggs, and I failed to introduce him when I was up here before. Senator, thank you so much for being here today. Appreciate your continued interest in transportation. Mr. Chairman, item 63 is declaration of emergency. And if I might, I'm going to read this agenda item simply to read it into the record. During the execution of a construction contract to make minor surface repairs to the 95 piers of the Belle Isle bridges, it was discovered that some piers have suffered significantly more deterioration than had been believed to exist. The discovery of this deterioration forced the closure of one lane in each direction of Interstate 44, the eastbound on-ramp from the Northwest Expressway, and the westbound off-ramp to the Northwest Expressway. Specifically, it was discovered that pier number 18 on the eastbound bridge and pier number 24 on the westbound bridge has deteriorated to the extent that traffic was shifted away from the weakened areas by closing the lanes and the ramps. Subsequent inspections found significant deterioration to piers number 1 and number 2. Under the existing contract for repair, false work was placed to support the deck at pier number 18. The statutory limit on change orders, however, prevented the department from having this contractor place false work under piers number 24, 1, and 2. On April 24th, I declared an emergency situation existed as authorized by Title 61, Section 130, and Commission rules, and directed the department to enter into a contract using expedited procedures to have false work placed to support the deck at pier number 24 and piers number 1 and 2. A contract was entered into with Sherwood Construction on a cost-plus basis in the amount of not to exceed $500,000. The false work placed at piers 18, 24, 1, and 2 will be sufficient to temporarily support the deck and allow 2 lanes to remain open to traffic in each direction. However, the bridge has been restricted, and oversized and overweight vehicles will not be permitted to cross the bridge until all repairs are completed. This item is for information only and does not require commission approval.
Anybody have any questions of Director Patterson? You know, Director, I know everybody's concerned about our bridges, but I don't know if we're concerned enough. You know, it seems like it's kind of like having termites in your house. You can't always see the problems, and we need to be really mindful in the department and as a state that we identify and fix our problems.
Mr. Chairman, that is one of the situations that we find in this repair project. It's much like the termites in the house doing a bathroom or a kitchen renovation. You don't really know what you have till you get on the job. And unfortunately, that's what we found out in this. We thought that we knew exactly what the problem was and we were in a position to repair it. But as we got into it, we found there was much more to be done. And so that's why we have this situation, and certainly the next agenda item requesting your declaration of an emergency, we believe will provide a more permanent solution.
There are a lot of old bridges in this state.
There are a lot of old bridges in this state. I will recall and just remind everyone that once we get through the 8-year plan, once we get our structurally deficient bridges to a manageable state, sometime in 2020, 2021, we will still have 1,500 bridges that are over 80 years old. That's even after we get them to a manageable state. So your point about old bridges, we have a lot.
I have a question or comment. The problem is this isn't that old of a bridge. I mean, we do have a lot of old bridges, but I wouldn't define 35 years old as being, I wouldn't place that in the old bridge category. Is where we found this problem, does this just kind of happen to be where a lot of drainage is ending up at? So you got water, you've got salt, or is this what we have here are we going to find that throughout other parts of this particular bridge?
If I might, Mr. Chairman, this I was going to wait till after I read the next agenda item, but why don't, if I could, I'll bring Steve Jacobi to come up, and he will give.
Okay.
And to your point, yes, it is about drainage and salt on this particular bridge. But Steve, if you could come up and walk us through the presentation.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Mike. Mr. Secretary, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I guess I'll go through, got a little slideshow, a little bit of a video showing some of the work that's being done on the Belle Isle Bridge, some of the things that have been happening. Before I get too far along, I'd like to thank or recognize TJ Dill and his people at the El Reno Residency. They've spent a number of weekends out there at the bridge site, late nights. In addition to TJ and his people with Division 4, Greg Allen and Jason Giebler of my office have also spent nights and weekends out at the bridge site. This shot here is looking west from the east end of the bridge near Classen Boulevard. You can see the westbound off-ramp sign. This bridge consists of, or these bridges, there are 4 bridges here. There's an eastbound bridge, a westbound bridge, there's a westbound off-ramp, and an eastbound on-ramp. They're all coded as separate bridges. However, they're generally termed as being the Belle Isle Bridge. There's 95 piers amongst these 4 bridges, and the initial contract we had with Restec, we believe to be doing mostly superficial work. When they got into the demolition on this, they saw that many of the piers had much deeper deterioration and more widespread deterioration than what was to be addressed under the initial contract. Here they're sounding concrete with a hammer to see where the delaminations are. This process, they use hand pneumatic tools to remove unsound concrete. They'll eventually sandblast clean the reinforcing steel, apply corrosion inhibitor, and then build up the concrete surface with either mortar patching material or pneumatically placed mortar. This is a pretty severely deteriorated pier on the westbound bridge. This is the south column. These bridges have a super elevation which directs drainage basically to the south. They're in a curve. With this severe super elevation on these bridges, and being in an urban area, they get a lot of attention. They get lots of salt. They have for their entire existence. Most of that salt drains to the south side, and that's where we found our most severe deterioration. This is looking east from the gore point of the westbound off-ramp to Northwest Expressway. You can see some of the deterioration on the ramp bridge, and then beyond that is the eastbound bridge. With the deterioration mostly on the south side of both of these bridges, we closed both ramps, and we closed the southmost lane, so it's down to 2 lanes right now. This is where we're shoring up to help support the pier. We were fortunate in that we had spread footings on these piers that weren't too deep, so we've got vertical members down to the spread footing. We've got horizontal members, and then we'll have bracing under the existing pier cap, which will be formed up to support that pier cap. That's typical damage shown at the top side corner. Most of that will be removed and rehabilitated. We finished this past weekend the kind of the undressing of all 95 piers to know exactly what the extent of the damage is. We've got plans underway that I believe are to be done the 15th of this month for the more substantial contract. There again, you can see the southmost side of the pier having the worst deterioration, and traffic's not on that that cantilever portion of the pier right now. One of the things we strive to do is make sure that the safety of the traveling public is utmost in what we do and how we react to things. If this bridge was unsafe, we would close it. What we've got going here are precautionary measures. It's hard to determine how much capacity there is in those cantilever portions, so we've got the lanes closed over that. Here are the hand chipping hammers. They're pneumatic hammers, but they're limited in size by what a person can hold up. The contract specifically prohibits use of anything on say a backhoe that can be more aggressive. So it's kind of like going to the dentist office. They're taking out all the bad part of your tooth and hopefully put back something that's going to last a while.
Steve, if I may.
Yes.
Have you noticed any deterioration of the ends of the beams, on the concrete beams? The expansion joint is over the top of the pier caps, is it not? And that's where all your damage is that we're seeing here is on the piers caps as well as the piers themselves. Are you noticing anything on the ends of the concrete beams?
This is primarily contained to just the pier caps. I know in some of this is where they're sliding in some of the supports to shore up the piers. We've got about 10 seconds left or so. And they'll put concrete between those supports and the bottom of the pier cap. I know on some of our other urban bridges that got a lot of salt, the I-244 bridges over the Arkansas River that were replaced by the Tiger Grant project, we had severe deterioration of the beam ends on that structure. Long term, we need to address the expansion joints and any other joints on this structure. I think we'll be looking at a maintenance project, a bridge washing project, perhaps annually, that will give us an up-close look at the piers over the next 15 to 20 years.
Steve, Commissioner Love had asked a question about the age of the bridge as not being very old in bridge ages as compared to a lot of other ones we have. You've changed the design on bridges because of this problem in other bridges across the country. You've changed somewhat of the design. Can you go through some of the things that,
sure,
whenever you would, if you would build a bridge similar to this today, that you would not do that we did on this one?
Corrosion's always been an issue with highway bridges. In the early 80s, we started using epoxy-coated reinforcing steel on just about everything we do in the superstructure. It slows down the corrosion rate substantially. We've increased cover requirements on, and that's how much concrete is outside of the reinforcing steel, on both our bridge decks and on our substructure elements. And the recognition of air entrainment in concrete, which it will reduces the amount of shrinkage cracking and long-term cracking in the concrete. We found that to be very beneficial. But I think most of what we use today, the epoxy-coated reinforcing steel, is where we get the most bang for the buck.
Steve, you'd made mention that certainly the salt and the saline solutions that's been applied over the years on this section, I can attest to that firsthand. Immediately after the bridge was built back in the late 70s, because of the geometrics of the bridge itself, we spread a lot of salt and sand on it over the years, and those expansion joints are immediately over the top of the pier caps, are they not?
Yes.
Therefore, that's where they leak and run down on top of the caps. So.
Right. Yeah, this bridge, you know, many times when I first moved here and you had a snow day, the media would be there staking out the Belle Isle Bridge to see what kind of accidents there were, because it was, you know, with that cross slope and being exposed the way it is, it was primed for accidents. So.
When was the last time we inspected the bridge?
This bridge is inspected every 2 years.
That's what I thought. Okay.
It's currently structurally deficient, and that's based on the substructure rating. The project that we're proposing would eliminate that structural deficiency on all 4 of these bridges.
Mr. Chairman, obviously Oklahoma City's changed quite a bit since that bridge was built. You can tell by the picture, and I'm sure the traffic count is significant. Is there changes that that you would consider long-term to change even the engineering of that when you have to fix it again?
Long-term, I think our best solution is to eliminate much of what exists there today. The bridge, you know, in this picture went over the lake, Belle Isle Lake. Soon after the bridge was opened, the lake was drained. They decommissioned the Belle Isle power plant. It was later, you know, imploded. And you know, most of what you see there lake-wise is now the Belle Isle Shopping Center. So what we have now is a bridge that really doesn't cross over anything. So long-term, you know, getting this as close to at grade as possible, I think, would be most beneficial.
Is that right next to the Belle Isle Lake, that gap, the vacant land? Is that where Valiance Bank is?
I believe it's, yeah, kind of probably half on that, half off that. They have a parking garage structure there that kind of extends off to that the north and east, and I believe that's where the parking garage is.
I walked under that puppy going to the mall about a month ago, and it was a little freaky. It was very scary. I probably should have reported it maybe, but I don't have a trained eye, but I'll tell you, it was rough. I have no further comments.
Are there any other questions?
Commissioner Love, do you have any other questions of this?
I have one.
No, I do not.
I have one question. How long before we think that the bridge will be opened back up to oversized and overweight traffic and have normal traffic flow?
I think we'll have a much better handle on that once we get the repair plans that we're expecting here in 2 weeks. I expect that to be a highly incentivized contract, both on the overall time and for the contract, and then how long it takes to get 6 lanes open on the main line, and then how long it takes to get each of the ramps that are currently closed to get those open back up to traffic. We should know more, here in 2 weeks once we see the extent of the plans.
Thank you. Thank you. Director.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I asked Kevin to put this picture back up because we have to remember, and I'm often asked, why is there even a bridge there? Well, you can see there was quite an extensive lake there, and any newcomers to the area or old guys like me that forget when that lake actually left, it would do us well to remember the history. Mr. Chairman, if I could, I'd like to read item 64 into the record. It's a request for the commission to declare an emergency. During the, and I'm gonna read some of this, and it's a duplication, but if you would bear with me. During the execution of a contract to make minor surface repairs to the 95 piers on the Belle Isle bridges, it was discovered that some piers had suffered significantly more deterioration than had been believed to exist. The discovery of this deterioration forced the closure of 1 lane in each direction on I-44 and 2 ramps. Specifically, faults work to support Pier 18 of the eastbound bridge was put in place utilizing the existing construction contract. Under the Director's Emergency Authority, an emergency contract was issued to install faults work to support piers number 1, 2, and 24 of the westbound bridge. After further assessments of the substructure, it has been determined that pier number 16 of the eastbound bridge also needs to be supported with faults work. The additional project cost of the faults work for pier number 16 will exceed the Director's authorized limit of $500,000. Also, it has been determined that more than half of the piers will require structural restoration, which is outside the scope of the existing construction contract. Design plans are currently being developed to permanently repair these weakened piers. The cost to restore the structural integrity of the substructure and to normalize traffic is estimated to be in excess of $7 million. It is now requested that the Commission, as authorized by Title 61, subsection 130, declare that an emergency situation exists and authorize the Department to use expedited bidding procedures to obtain a contractor to make permanent repairs to the bridge piers. Mr. Chairman, if I might, the permanent repairs that we talk about is another 15 years that we want to get before we put the bridge on the ground, as Steve said, to get it at grade. Now, that's not to say it's going to have to be an elevated at grade because we have to get across 2 roads there, but we do want to take down the bridge as much as possible. So we're looking to get 15 years out of this repair.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Norman, do we have to have a motion on this, or is it, I didn't say, I figured we probably did. We'll hear a motion on this item.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Mr. Fiddler.
Aye.
Mr. Overland.
Yes.
Mr. Love.
Aye.
Mr. Burrage.
Yes.
Mr. Jacobi.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Regan.
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll hear item 65. I believe we're going to have the substitute presenter today.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, let me back up just briefly to the previous item, and I would let you know that pier number 14 was discovered over the weekend. They finished uncovering all of those, but since that agenda item had been prepared, we did add one more, and that would be pier number 14. So there's 3 that will be covered under the emergency declaration you all just approved. Agenda item number 65 allows the director the authority with this passage to match the current state law, and if I may. During the 2014 legislative session, House Bill 3087 was passed and signed into law. That bill authorized the Commission to allow the department director to declare emergencies and direct the department to enter into emergency repair contracts in an amount not to exceed $750,000. Under the current Commission rules, the director's authorization is $500,000, which was the previous authority granted by statute. At this time, it is requested that the Commission, by 2/3 vote, increase the director's authority in emergency contract situations to $750,000. This increase to take effect immediately, and further direct the department to begin the process to conform the Commission rules to reflect this additional authority of the director. And your approval is requested.
You've heard the recommendation. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Mr. Fiddler, Mr. Overland.
Yes.
Mr. Love.
Aye.
Mr. Burrage.
Yes.
Mr. Huckabee.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess. Mr. Regan.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Motion passes. We'll hear item 66.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Secretary. Item 66 is a special crossing permit request for industrial use in Division 2 on US 271 highway south of the junction of US 270 in LaFleur County. I'm going to read this into the record as well. In accordance with provisions of the Oklahoma Administrative Code, the department has received a request for special crossing permit from the Farrell Cooper Mining Company at the referenced location. The request is seeking Commission approval to locate, construct, and maintain a heavy load crossing for temporary usage at the intersection of US 271 and a private road in the vicinity of the Bull Hill Mine. The heavy load crossing is necessary to support limited term mining operations and facilitate the transport of earth and rock across the highway via very heavy trucks that are not suitable for regular road use. The department has met with the company and determined that no acceptable alternatives are available to move the material. The company has provided the required plans, specifications, and details necessary to construct the crossing, along with traffic warning and control plan. The department has reviewed the proposal and determined that the crossing represents an adequate improvement to support the transport vehicles and to protect the structural integrity of the highway. The traffic control plan has also been reviewed and determined to be in conformance with the manual on uniform traffic control devices and adequate to protect the safety of the traveling public. If the request is approved by the Transportation Commission, the department will prepare and enter into an agreement with the requesting party to set forth the exact design, construction, and maintenance requirements for the crossing, time, and other usage limitations, indemnifications, and to fully describe the expectations of the company. The company will be required to construct the crossing in accordance with the approved plans, specifications, and details, and the department will provide construction oversight. Upon completion of the crossing, the department will authorize the Commissioner of the Department of Public Safety to issue permits for specific vehicles to cross the highway at the location. Each individual permit will include a serial or vehicle identification number associated with each specific heavy truck to be utilized in the crossing, describe the physical characteristics of the vehicles, and set forth any other provisions or restrictions as determined necessary. The department recommends approval to proceed with the preparation and execution of the agreement to facilitate the crossing construction, and upon acceptance of the work, approval to submit the subsequent authorization of permit issuance to DPS. This is for heavy mining trucks that weigh about 260,000 pounds. Division 2 has been reviewing the plans and for a crossing to be constructed, and also the traffic control plan. In addition, I want to say Farrell Cooper Mining Company has been very professional and responsive to us, and are certainly concerned with the safety here, and they propose only to cross when there is no traffic, so they won't be stopping highway traffic for their trucks. So I'll be open to any questions you might have.
You've heard the recommendation.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Mr. Fiddler.
Aye.
Mr. Overland.
Yes.
Mr. Love.
Aye.
Mr. Burrage.
Yes.
Mr. Huckabee.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Regan.
Yes.
Motion passes. Recognize the director for his report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to give you an update. I wanted to give the commission an update on the emergency that was declared last month. It was on State Highway 83 in far eastern Oklahoma, and those repairs were completed. Of course, we undertook these two emergencies today, the one that I declared and then the one that we very much appreciate the commission's indulgence and approval of the $7 million repairs that we so desperately need to get underway to keep traffic flowing. When you're talking about locking down an interstate highway like I-44 through central Oklahoma, it becomes a real challenge. If anyone's driven out there in recent history, then you know just knocking down one lane is causing some significant backups in the area. So we're anxious to get started and anxious to get out as quickly as possible. And that's why Steve talked about the incentives that we're going to offer on this contract to be very aggressive in getting the project back open. But it brings to mind the challenges that we have ongoing and in front of us. We're often asked, well, what's next for the department when we get through with our bridges? Well, some days we can't imagine that ever happening, because it seems that when we, as quickly as we're moving and as diligently as we're going through and making huge improvements to our bridge condition and trying to bring our system of bridges to a manageable state, we run into something like this. $7 million that we had not budgeted for. So we're going to have to work through that process and come up with the money. And we will come up with the money, but it's those surprises that make you a little bit crazy at times. I had a wise man tell me one time, it's not the condition of the bridges that you know about that keep you up at night, it's the ones that you don't know about. And certainly this is one of them that we didn't know about, as I mentioned earlier, as we started in on the project. So as we systematically go through our bridges, undoubtedly we will run into other situations like this, but I certainly hope not. At the Capitol, we're talking about revenue and what the revenue picture looks like. Many of you have asked me this morning, what's going on at the Capitol with funding. We're challenged by that. We don't really know. We've had numerous discussions with the appropriators on different aspects of the budget and different thoughts that they have. We will react to whatever that is. Oftentimes we've heard legislators talk about, well, we don't want to harm the 8-year plan. And we can certainly appreciate that, but I will tell you that any reduction in revenue will have an impact. Maybe not harm, but will have an impact on the 8-year plan, because all money leads to the 8-year plan. And I will just leave you with this scenario. So if there's a reduction in something in our motor fuel tax, for example, and we have to react to that, and the reaction would be forestalling employee hiring or limiting travel, but that's a little bit of money, but it's not a great deal. So the next would be to reduce maintenance. Well, we're not going to reduce maintenance. If anything, we're going to have to increase maintenance to be able to react to things just like this. And so ultimately, because it's all about maintenance, asset preservation, and the 8-year plan, then there'll have to be some reduction someplace. So I just tell you that as we begin to get through the budget process, our maintenance, we're going to hold our maintenance, because I and the department do not want to go back to a situation where we're unable to maintain what we construct. And the citizens of Oklahoma have put a lot of money into the infrastructure in recent history, and we do not want to go back to not being able to maintain that infrastructure. Mr. Chairman, I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or further comments of the director? Thank you, sir.
One more thing, Mr. Chairman. We have a long tenured employee by the name of Pete Byers. Pete he retired from the agency several years ago, but he was a leader at ODOT, a consummate leader at ODOT. He's still a leader at ODOT. Many of us look to him for leadership and counsel to this very day. Pete is struggling with health issues, has been for several months. The doctors, it doesn't look favorable for Mr. Byers today. So if we could, as you leave and when you say your prayers tonight, before you go to bed, if you could say a little bit for Pete Byers, we would really appreciate it. He is ODOT, if there ever was a Mr. ODOT. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, I know Pete was a close associate and friend of yours, and I know since 1990 when I first met Pete up here, he kind of ran me through the ringer pretty good. Probably none of you guys have had that same treatment. And I thought you might have a word or two for Pete.
Well, as Mike, as the director pointed out, he's been a permanent fixture. The Byers name, his dad was a longtime division engineer for the department up in Division 8 in Tulsa. And Pete has, as you know, a fiery way about him. And all of us that's worked for the department at some time or another have had to have the wrath of Pete over the time, maybe me more than any, simply because I messed up often enough that he really enjoyed getting after me. But as Mike pointed out, and we've gone up to see Pete over these last few weeks, and he's just struggling real bad. And as Mike pointed out, your thoughts and prayers would be appreciated, not only for Pete, but for his family. Thank you, Mike, for mentioning it.
Yes. Don't want to forget Pete. He's changed a lot of things and meant a lot of things to everyone here at ODOT. Appreciate your report, Mr. Director. With that, we'll hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion. Have a second. Call the roll.
Mr. Fiddler.
Aye.
Mr. Overland.
Yes.
Mr. Love.
Aye.
Mr. Burrage.
Yes.
Mr. Jacobi.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Dan.
Mr. Burgess. Mr. Regan.
Yes.
Motion passes. We're adjourned.